Let's take a look at the first technique, which is respect and understanding. Here's the thing. You don't need to put yourself in a lower position than the other person, but you do need to respect them. If the person feels disrespected, that can not only cause a new conflict, but escalate an existing one. Let's take a look at how to leverage this.
If you think of concepts like empathy, connecting, and understanding the other side, they are social skills in general, but they are especially important in de-escalating tense situations. The core reason for this is that they decrease amygdala activation. You can consider the amygdala your emotional brain, and it especially activates when you don't trust the other person, when you're emotional, such as angry, disliking them, or any other intense negative situation. Empathy and respect help decrease this amygdala activation, bringing the person back to the domain of logic. But another reason for this is that respect and understanding make people accept something more easily. If you're trying to get the person to make a concession, to settle for something, or just accept something, this will work better if you show that you understand them first, because they identify with you more, so you have more power. There are 3 techniques that work especially well to show respect and understanding for the person. These are, first of all, demonstrating empathy. Taking what you think that the other side is feeling or thinking and verbalizing it back to them. Saying things like, I know you must feel stressed, or I know you must be frustrated with this, or even, I know this is awkward. This helps calm the person down because they feel understood. The second is to tailor communication for the person's influence archetypes. There are 4 different archetypes that correspond to whether the person focuses on the big picture versus the details, and logic versus emotion. For example, if they're focused on the big picture and they're logical, they are a dominant. If they're focused on the details and they're logical, they are an analyst. Each type has specific language patterns that better persuade them. So for example, if they're a dominant, they don't want to waste time and they want to know how they win. If you use their language, you can calm them down more easily. And finally, actually verbalizing respect for the person. This seems like a very small and specific technique, but it works so well. Especially if the person's influence archetype is a dominant, this will be an actual requirement of communicating with them. But in general, especially for people that have an ego or that are sensitive, it's always good to verbalize respect for them. And it doesn't need to be something very sophisticated. Just saying something like, I know your time is valuable, so thank you for being here, or I respect your authority and credentials. You want to understand and respect the person's achievements. One side note, you don't need to bring yourself down, you just need to raise them up. Specifically, one of the most frequent profiles that you will find are alpha or dominant people. Disc dominance. There are specific techniques to deal with this type of personality, which you will find in any of my courses that include the disc personality types or other resources. But these become important when you have a person that is on edge. And these can include, first, asking for the person's opinion. Dominant people hate to be excluded from things, and they love when others ask for their opinion and expertise. So, even if you're not going to actually do anything with their opinion, just ask for it. Ask them to validate something or to say what their thoughts are. This helps disarm them. The second is showing them how they can win and what they win of exclusive. This is all that dominant people care about, being better than others. Show them how you can fix the situation and give them something that makes them win. Also, verbalize respect. We just mentioned this. Show them that you respect their experience, credentials, authority, and status. And finally, you'll have to make concessions. This is not as much of a technique as it is a necessity. A dominant is your worst negotiation nightmare because they will demand everything and give nothing. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, expect them to take a lot more than that and give you nothing in return. Dominants in specific are children who throw tantrums and take down whole negotiations if even a little detail of what they want is not respected. You will need to be the adult that takes the hits, gives them what they want, and safeguards the negotiation. One last consideration when showing respect is that tense people can be triggered by a lack of respect, not just for them individually, but others as well, especially if the third party that you're disrespecting is someone close to them, or if they have a heightened sense of justice. I have to confess that I myself am this way. If I'm in a negotiation with you and I see you cut a line or not hold the door for somebody else that is completely unrelated to us, we're done here. And many people are this way. They require you to be decent in general. And it's fun that the biggest example of this actually happens in the context of job interviews. The person is on the way to the building and they cut a queue or push somebody in the lobby entrance and they don't apologize for it. And then later they found out that it was the interviewer or someone related and they're done. So remember to do things such as waiting in queues without cutting, using manners like please and thank you, holding doors for others, especially near or inside your office building, because you never know who that random person may be. To do your research before suggesting things, showing respect, and to be cautious, especially with people that think you are quote-unquote below you, like juniors, assistants, cleaning staff, and others. This happens both with situations in the real world or just in work. If in a crisis situation, the other person sees you treat a team member like crap, they can be triggered as a client because they assume that if you don't treat your own people well within the company, how are you going to treat a client well? Which, true or not, is a very fair question. What are some implementation pointers? The first is treat everyone as equals. One of the best ways to show respect is to show it to everyone. People that you pass by on the street, service workers, people with different status in the company. Let people see you as respectful under every circumstance. Be graceful. Being respectful and keeping decorum when others do so as well is easy. Being graceful when you're being attacked, though, not so much. Don't take the bait when others are being less than graceful. Don't just turn it on. Being respectful should be a core tenet in life. Don't do it just when you're in work mode or with important people. Make sure that it's a personal trait regardless of the circumstances that you're in. And finally, hold yourself back. Remember inhibiting yourself. When others are trying you and baiting you into stooping down to their level, make sure that you don't, because that's a situation where you will never win. What are some do's and don'ts in terms of respect and understanding? Do's. Do lather it on thick. There's no such thing as too much respect. I mean, there is, but it's probably a lot more than what you think it is. Make sure to actively show that you're being respectful and considerate so that you don't give the other side a reason to attack you. Don'ts. Don't take it out on people. Even people that you may consider that have no status or are below you probably are not. They just appear to be. And even when they are below you, well, you never know where you will be tomorrow, or them. I know many people that treated a subordinate like crap only to later come work for a company where they were now a superior or equal. And guess what happened? Don't give anyone a reason to hold a grudge in the future. What are some examples of showing respect and understanding? The first is just verbalizing. I know this is hard. Someone verbalizing to another person that they know how hard the situation is, but that unfortunately this change is still necessary, cushions the blow to them. The second is verbalizing disagreement, saying something like, I know you don't agree with this, and I know you had your own plans, but unfortunately, we will be doing this. For example, it also helps empathize and soften the blow. And finally, another example is paying attention to the little things. These go a long way in showing respect for someone, holding the door for them, not interrupting them, and so on. What are our key takeaways here? The first is using empathy. Take what you think the other side is feeling and simply verbalize it. I know you must be upset. I know that you must think that I'm not being reasonable. I know you must think that this is unfair, and so on. You don't have to agree with it, you just have to verbalize it. Then, understanding. Showing that you understand them goes a long way. Don't just force your decision on them. First, show that you understand their point of view, and then say that this is necessary despite it. And finally, show respect. Many people underestimate the role of respect. You don't need to kiss up, but you do need to make sure that you cover the basics so that the other side is not feeling disrespected.
So as you see, respect and understanding can be shown with very simple techniques, and they can be used to really de-escalate a conflict and even solve it.